Morning, folks. Malbolge complete with rubber band. Humphrey's witch hazel, lilac scented. I'm going to follow the shave up with some Aqua Velva Ice Blue. Still got the big old container. Shaver a day is a Weck. Let's do it this way. You might be able to actually see the name on there. Nice orange scales there. Got a Personna blade in there, hair shaper blade. Got a mystery soap this morning. Got it whipped up here in my Old Spice mug. This is a horsehair knot, and the soap was a little bit on the brown side, so it kind of whipped up that way. Got a little bit of a tint to it. It's got a pleasant scent, and at times I think I pick up a spice, and I'm not too sure if it's cinnamon. I'm not sure. Something along those lines. Anyway, already put a hot towel to the face. Go ahead and get started with the pre-shave here. More or less the instructions basically to shave as normal, so since here late I've been using pre-shave. I'm going to go ahead and roll right along with it. This soap came by the way of Frank from Strike Gold Shave. Give him my impressions, what I thought about the performance of the soap. It seemed to whip up pretty nice. It will take some water, which is a good thing. Especially for those that are just now learning how to lather. Gives them an opportunity to add water right along with it, or if they start out with quite a bit of water, it seemed like it would do just fine. Because I started out with just a little bit of water and kept on adding water to it. And it was pretty evident almost right from the very beginning that it would take quite a bit of water. It has been a good long moment since I shaved with a Weck. It's been a good moment. I'm going to see how this goes today. For me, the the blade just seems intimidating to me with it out there like that. You would think a straight razor would be more intimidating, but for some reason this one here intimidates me more than a straight razor. There just went some lather. I did whip this up on the wet or moist side, so it's going to be what might be considered a little thin for some, but looking more for slickness than cushion with a shave like this. If you were shaving with an R41, you'd be looking for more cushion, if you know what I'm trying to say. I really like the brush handle on this and the hair. Usually a horsehair knot brush will run you a little bit cheaper than a badger. And once a horsehair is broken in, it's a really nice brush. Alright, typically with a shavette or a hair shaper like this, I'll do maybe 2.5 passes, just depending on how the shave goes. So I just drop my towel. I have a damp towel, excuse me, off to the side over here where I'll be wiping off the shaving cream in hopes to help keep my water in the sink a little cleaner. If you haven't shaved with one of these, probably the best tip is to start with it flat against your face and just bring it up just a little bit and start working from there to figure out what angle works best for you. I also, I don't switch hands. I do not trust my left hand at all. No way, no how. No, it's just not happening. I don't feel like I have the control that I need like I do with the right hand. Maybe one day I'll get confident enough to give it a try, but no way. If you're like me, I have some creases in my neck, so I usually try not to approach them at a 90-degree angle right at the crease. I prefer to work at them at an angle. That way it doesn't get caught. Because sometimes it almost seems like no matter how much I try to stretch, it never seems to be quite enough in those areas. So approaching them at an angle is a better way of doing it. After probably the very first shave, I'd have to say, it seemed like this worked out pretty well for me. It's pretty easy to adjust to, even though it does look intimidating to have that blade stick out like that. It's yeah, in other words, it's not that tough to use once you work with the angle. Like I say, just start with it flat on your face and just tilt it up just a little bit. Then work from there with it. There's no rush, there's no hurry. You know, learn at your own pace and preferably at a slow pace, so that way maybe it's not quite so easy to get discouraged. Because that blade is it's a sharp blade. And it doesn't feel nowhere near as aggressive as a feather blade. In other words, it's a fairly smooth feeling blade. A little bit of soap down there. I did get lucky on eBay. I got a Weck with come with its own little case or sleeve, if you will. Got really lucky on that one. It's the only one I've got like that. Got it on eBay. Matter of fact, I think if I remember right, I gotta get it cleaned up. This double duck right here. Oh, turn around this way. This double duck, I gotta get it cleaned up. Shipping was high, but the actual price was I only got it for, I only paid $4 for it. But the shipping is what added. The shipping was far more than what I paid for the shaver. But I gotta get that one cleaned up. It's, in other words, it even got hair on it, so yeah, it's still pretty dirty. This soap still feels fairly creamy. Seems to glide across my face pretty good. The blade does, so have to give it props for the slickness. It doesn't seem to want to hang up on my face or anything like that. To me, the test with a new soap is with a shave head straight razor. I guess you might say the more challenging shavers. I can still smell the scent. Yeah. I think this one here is working out pretty well. This is a pretty good one. Now, I must say, there will be some folks that mention using short strokes, and if that is something that works well for you, by all means go with the short strokes. Every once in a while I might use short strokes, but most of the time I usually use some fairly long ones. Like right there, that's usually about where I start using my short strokes, because I know that the density right there is pretty thick. Pretty smooth. Pretty happy with this shave. For a mystery soap, this is working out pretty well. Sometimes when you, just like any other soap that you buy for the first time, it does kind of make you wonder sometimes what you're getting. You get a little nervous about it, especially if you're paying very much for it. And this one here is working out pretty well. Still getting a little bit of soap down there. This seems to be a pretty good method of wiping the soap off over here, keeping the sink a little bit cleaner. For your rinse cycle, I guess you might say. That is one thing you'd have to say about using the Shavette straight razor. Don't have to worry about clogging. I am attempting to try to get pretty close on my shave right there. You might see sometimes I don't always go over the same spot quite as often, but I am trying to get pretty close. In other words, really put the soap to the test, if you will, for slickness, residual slickness, that sort of thing. I don't normally, across the grain up here is not too terribly tough, it seems like for me, with a Shavette. But getting further down on my neck has always been a challenge. Figure out exactly how I want to handle the shaver, especially with a blade this big. That's something if you're not quite into this or you're still very new to it, the length of the blade, and I guess you might say this area that you're trying to cover, if you're a larger person, a bigger person, I only stand about 5'6", so matter of fact, I see, look, I got a hair down there. A bigger blade probably work better for you as opposed to a person that's short and not exactly big. A bigger blade covers so much of the face it may not be the easiest to use, so a smaller shaver, in other words, might work better for you. And for me, I have never been able to quite master how to do the cross grain with my hand across my neck. I mean, I can get it this way, but I really need to come back this way. I did get myself right there. Thought I felt something stinging there for a moment. Sometimes if you work your soap in, it'll slow down just a bit. Got a pretty smooth shave though. I mean, my face is feeling pretty smooth. Normally I'd try to catch that right there, but today is, I guess you might say, it's Sunday. It's going to be a day that I'm going to be doing yard work, so I'm not that concerned. Tomorrow's Monday, and I'll be shaving with, I think how you pronounce it is Parthenon. And if you watch this far into the video, let me make a comment down below how many videos you want to see with that shaver. Because if you haven't seen Don's, he's put out a couple of videos, and for somebody that has 3 or 4 days worth of growth, it doesn't look like this is going to be the shaver for you. And it is a fairly aggressive. I plan on starting with an Astra, and at some point in time I'm going to give Derby a try. And I've already, when my wife was in the hospital, I've already used the feather, and I don't feel like for the bulk of the people out there that a feather blade is going to work very well for them unless they're using it at the very lowest of settings, 3, 2, or a 1. Matter of fact, I kind of figured most people might be happier starting with a 3. 5, probably going to end up with a nick or 2. If you did like I did on my very first shave, I started out with a 9. Then I went to a 7 and realized after that I really didn't need another pass because all I had left was pickups. Very aggressive. I mean, it's the most aggressive shaver I've got. Of course it's adjustable, but I've got other adjustables that don't even compare in aggressiveness like this one does. Boy, it's wow. So if you want one of those, I'm not so sure that the dial, the adjustments are quite where they thought it should be. I could be wrong. Assuming all things are equal. In other words, that the quality control is there. And I have to say, with Weishi and the Q-Shave, I haven't had any issues with their shavers, so I'm going to hold with, you know, with my experience that the quality control is there and that it's pretty good. I just think maybe that their design on the adjustment on the aggression is probably a bit higher than most, and probably need to work on the how your soap clears out. The I have to say, with adjustables of recent history, like the Parker variant, which is patterned, looks like it patterned itself off of the Mercury Progress as it goes for a little bit of the design, I guess you might say, on the faceplate, where the soap, the shaving cream, just cleans right out with little or to no trouble. No, they're probably not wanting to copy that design. They probably obviously had something else in mind, but that design right there, the shaving cream just comes right out of it without a problem. Now, I haven't had any trouble with mine clearing out, but I'm a daily shaver, so it's just, you know, the soap that's got to get cleared out of it. It's about time for this one. I have to say, for the shave, it went pretty good. This is pretty good soap. And the scent stayed throughout the shave. I wish I could put my finger on what else. Maybe it's vanilla. I'm not sure. I think that the spice is kind of throwing me off a little bit. If you haven't had one of these recent history, maybe you haven't ever tried one, it's got a big restrictor. You have no trouble getting any aftershave out of this container. It just comes right on out. You can just feel it. It's not stinging either. It feels good on the face, which, you know, sometimes it does sting. Got a little bit over here where that nick or cut is at. Friday, I had, I think it must have been a pimple or something. I sure didn't. I just shaved it, top right off of it. Didn't even really notice it until after the shave, and then my wife noticed it later on that I'd caught myself. It's nice when the wife pays attention to you. I've had a really good shave. Mystery soap worked out well. Definitely something I would buy, especially if you're just basing it on the performance of the soap, not necessarily the scent. The scent lasted throughout the whole shave, which I have to say that I have some soaps that don't do that. This one here did. So that's even a plus, that they're able to get the scent strength down to the point where it'll last through the shave. I've got a couple other things here. Like I said, comment about how many videos you want to see with I think it's pronounced Parthenon adjustable shaver. And also, if I'll put a link down below. Just here recently, the gentleman that used to be the owner of a Google Plus group that I'm a moderator of is Artisan Shaving, and he made me the owner of that site. So if you want to stop by for a visit, it's a relatively small group, so if you like that kind of setting, it's definitely one for you. Come by and join us. Had a great shave. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves to you.